on foreign aid and forge its own path towards sustainable climate resilience. And for that, we have an incredible lineup of experts who are ready to dissect, debate, and most importantly, offer the solutions. Before we dive in, I'd like to pose a question to everyone here, panelists and attendees alike, that if all international climate funding suddenly vanished tomorrow or today even, what would be our plan B? How would our countries adapt, mitigate, and survive? Think about it, because whether we like it or not, the rules of the climate finance game are changing, and it's time we started rewriting them ourselves. So we have a packed agenda today covering immediate and long-term effects of USAID's shutdown, role of domestic climate financing and global South's autonomy, how international players and private investors can step in, and strengthening grassroots movements and local climate policies. But beyond the structured discussion, I encourage everyone, panelists and attendees, to be bold, share your insights, challenge the ideas, and most importantly, let's leave this session not just with frustration, but with a roadmap for action. Because at the end of the day, climate justice is not just about acknowledging inequality, it's about dismantling it. So with that, let's dive right in. First up, we have Ms. Noureen Arif, Manager, Energy Department, Government of Punjab. Ms. Noureen, as someone working at the intersection of governance and energy policy, how do you see specifically Pakistan and particularly other global South nations navigating this sudden climate finance shortfall? What immediate steps should governments be taking to mitigate the damage? Please, madam.
Hello, everyone can hear me now? Am I audible?
Yes, everyone can hear you. Audible, and please, you can continue.
Okay. Thank you, Mahmood, and thank you the entire team as well. And really, it's an hour of need that we are all working on this very hot topic. You can say the climate change, its impacts, and what is actually how we can dive in this climate finance, the new strategy which has been adopted by many countries as well. Especially Pakistan is also working a lot in it. And the government sectors as well as the private sectors, they all are, you can say, they want to contribute as well in the sense they want to have the proper you can say plans and proper strategies to be adopted, how we can dive in and how we can facilitate our country with respect to climate finance, and when we are discussing all things about all things with the donor agencies as well. First of all, just to have we all have a very clear view regarding climate finance and what is actually, you can say, how we are all suffering from these or climatic changes as well. Pakistan is such a country, we are not contributing so much to the level of greenhouse gas emissions as well as climatic changes, but still we are, you can say, we are in the line, or we are one of the country which is suffering a lot from the impacts of climate change. So the analysis we have just found, and you can say we have adopted many strategies as well with respect to climate finance, because last year as well, and by this year when we are designing all our components and all our projects, so we are, you can say, in line everything with respect to climate change. And we are also in a process with the various donor agencies like ADB, Asian Development Bank, World Bank, GIZ, and many more, you can say, grants and loans, KFW, we are touching them. We are in, you can say, we have liaison their meetings as well, that how we can facilitate our projects, our country with respect to climate finance. As an analysis with respect to World Bank, we have just sorted out that approximately 61.53 US we have just required in the previous year to mitigate this whole climate scenario, especially when we are discussing only the one category, that is climate finance. And definitely we are, you can say, when we are talking about our continent, Asia, or you can say here, what is actually the prime, you can say, the indicators, or you can say what is actually the reasons behind why we are suffering, why this our country or our provinces, they are suffering a lot just because that we have dense population, we have heavy dependency upon the fuels as well, we have rapid organization and urbanization as well. To make ourselves resilience and more, you can say, we can promote, or we can play a very significant role in both mitigation and adaptation level. So what actually government of Punjab has done up till now, that we have our Punjab climate change policy, and we have also just made, you can say, we have the climate change action plan as well. We What we have done in so far up till now, that we have formulate our projects, either they are in the category of mitigation or in the category of adaptation. And after that, now we have a proper committee as well. And by each, you can say, after every 15 days, we have a certain discussion upon that, that how we can more and more, you can say, we have better options or better projects we can launch in the coming year, so that we can all when we all are facing all these impacts of climate, how we can mitigate it. Similarly, we have also make a proper plan, and we have just the stakeholder consultation, the focal persons from all the departments of the government, and they are actually providing us, you can say, after every 15 days, I'm telling you that we have a special forum, and we are discussing all these things, and we have proper dashboards from where we can say we can access, and we can see what is actually all the departments they are doing, and what the progress they have made so far. Previously, as you all know, that we have national determined contributions as well, and energy department being, you can say, energy is the main focus area where we have to work a lot, especially in the renewable sector. No doubt, Punjab or many and various other provinces, even at the federal level, we are contributing a lot of things in the renewable sector, but still, actually, we have something at the policy level as well, and you can say the many more things are under. They are so complicated because we have some changes in our policy level as well. So by that time we can see, but still now we have made a very comprehensive document with respect to NDCs, what is actually the national determined contributions of Punjab as well, and how we can mitigate it. So what actually they have designed, Punjab, the projects we have, we are contributing a lot in the solarization sector. Punjab having the, you can say, geographical as well as the topographical, it's you can say its heritage is like this, that we can promote solar component in Punjab. So what we are actually doing, we are solarizing all the public sector buildings, as well as we also retrofitting them, so that after some times we have to make light zone with them, because in the future, or you can say in the next, our new annual development plan, we are actually focusing that we should have a larger central monitoring system, and that central monitoring system will be like a dashboard that will be accessible to all the stakeholders, and from where we can see how many projects have been launched, or they are executed, or in the pipeline we have done so far, and how much greenhouse gas emissions are curtailed from all those projects. So in the education sector, what we are doing, that we are solarizing all the primary schools, all the higher secondary schools, colleges, universities with respect to ESCO model, and then the other schools, which mainly include the differently able children as well. But when we are talking about the health sector, from the grassroots level, we have just, you can say, start we are solarizing all the basic health units, DHQs, THQs, all the hospitals. And in the meantime, we have also the rural health centers. We are also solarizing them. But these all projects are subdivided, as we know that we have a huge chunk and a huge number. And I'm just telling you, if I'm only talking about the primary schools, so we have approximately 20,000 plus schools. So definitely we have just zoning them We have just zoned out the Punjab in south, central, and north Punjab, and after that we are, you can say, we are just formulating all those projects. Similarly, like we have also in the pipeline, we have the projects that we are going to launch the power plants, solar power plants as well. And we are also touching new renewable technologies as well, which mainly includes the hydrogen energy, as well as, you can say, like hydrokinetic turbines. And we are also working on biogas plants as well. One of the biogas plants we have just introduced so far now, and it is, you can say, completed. It's in the Harbanspura area in Lahore, and the same will be replicated in the area of in Gujar colony as well. So like we are also, you can say, working a lot to have these biodigesters, or you can say biogas plants or waste to energy projects, as we know that this is one of the renewable technology that must be, we have to work upon it. Similarly, like many more, like the projects which we are up till now, we have, you can say, green Punjab has, if we are talking about the policy level, matlab like climate change for Punjab, climate change policy is already there. We have climate change action plan as well. Then we have the green finance strategy. That policy is also available now. On the federal level, we have carbon trading policy as well. But the thing is, I really want to share with all my colleagues and all the stakeholders which are present over here, sustainability in policies should be present there. No doubt these all policies we have just designed, and I'm also one of the focal person from my department, that we just like formulate all these policies like that. We have to implement it, like like no doubt we are like having the examples of international strategies, what they are doing in their countries. But if we are talking about only about the Pakistan, we have to make our policy just because of Pakistan, what we can do over here. Matlab that all those policies must not be like they are so like in the ideal situation that matlab उनको हम implement ही ना कर पाएं. So it's really very important कि आपकी जो all policies should be lies on. What we are doing, another thing, we have just put up the point, and we have just working nowadays, that we have set certain targets. Like in Andes's document, we have set the target that we have to shift on up to 60% on the renewable by 2030. But when we are talking about the other policies, either it's the renewable energy policy, either it's the climate change policy, so they also have the same targets. When people they just get confused on what is actually the correct percentage we have to adopt in certain areas or in certain years. So it is really very important that we have a proper liaison and proper sustainable plan, that how these policies should be implemented for the betterment of our country. Climate finance का दूसरा problem, like it's definitely donor agencies and they are responsible, and no doubt they're also they really want to invest in Pakistan, either in the form of loan, and they are also now you can say formulating such strategies that they also want to give us grants as well in this area. But the thing is, like if we have we have certain representatives from the GCF as well, and the from climate finance team as well. Actually they are like you are not presenting your case in a very, you can say, systematic manner. But still now what we have done, we have to categorize very from the very first step and very primarily, that our projects are in the category of mitigation, or we want to go for the adaptation. So both the strategies must be taken into account in a very suitable manner. Similarly, like it's really very important that we have to either in both cases, mitigation or adaptation, we have to clearly identify the safeguard policies of each donor agency which they are going to be adopted. Like they have the certain set targets and the certain, you can say, they have documentation procedures that must be followed, and this is really very important. If you want any project which is going to be launched in our country, that we have to first of all have a very strong grip in all the donor agencies, especially in their documentation procedures. Once if we are like they have special safeguard policies, they have special, you can say, technical evaluations, procurement rules, similarly with respect to environment, and they if we are not up to their mark with respect to their documentation procedures, we can't assess them, we can't have that finance or that, you can say, loan or grant towards ourselves. So it's really very important, and training sessions and the capacity building is really required by all the people who are, you can say, they are designing such projects in the category of climate finance. We have launched many new projects, especially with the target of, you can say, climate change. We have launched one of the program of the World Bank, which is Punjab Clean Air Program, and in that program we have a major chunk of transport sector, then we have the agriculture sector, and then we have energy sector as well. In the transport sector, they are contributing towards, yeah, they are like EVs, they are contributing EVs in that. And similarly with the agriculture sector, they are they are giving us new practices, technique sorry. And then they are also want to have the they are in the negotiation process. We want to have the happy seeder technology to be adopted by the World Bank funding. Then in the energy sector, they are wants to work with the home cooking, but still they are in the it's still in the negotiation, because we want they will contribute more towards the solar in the industrial sector. So let's see. Transport sector is up till now it's confirmed, and the later on negotiations are on the way. Similarly,
See, so I hear that. I get the point that approach हमारे पास मौजूद है, but we need a special integration so
yeah,
that everything is get intacted, चाहे वो government की side से है या private sector की side से है, so
exactly.
that we can move on.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Thank you so much. And so Asad, imagine setting a house when we talk about an approach of global north versus global south. Imagine setting a house on fire and then taking away the only bucket of water the residents had. Ironically, if it is not Los Angeles. So the funding gap is massive, but so is the potential for innovation. What alternative financing models like green bonds, carbon markets, public-private partnerships, what do you think hold the most promise for the global south?
Ji, Assalamu alaikum. Thanks for putting this talk, which is of very high importance. I just want to start with this एक छोटा सा शेर है, अगर इजाज़त दें आप। वो कहते हैं ना कि हमेशा देर कर देता हूँ मैं हर काम करने में, ज़रूरी बात कहनी हो, कोई वादा निभाना हो, उसे आवाज़ देनी हो, उसे वापस बुलाना हो। तो बात ये है, so like I be like थोड़ा सा मैंने bilingual कर दिया, but I'll switch to the English mode as well, ताकि जो बाकी donor community है
Bilingual is
वो भी
totally okay. Bilingual is totally
okay. Yeah. So the point is, definitely we definitely have many development partners, and they are bound to facilitate the developing countries, and they have been here for many years. But again, like how effectively we have utilized them, that's the number one question, because we have all those public sector entities which have been there, and they have been mandated to do certain tasks. So always जो मैं बात करता हूँ कि strength through self-reliance should have been should have been the key from the very first day. और definitely public sector entities की अपनी importance है, और गैप जो है वो मतलब देर लाइक एक अभी USAID गया है, इसका कितना पोर्टफोलियो था पाकिस्तान में या ग्लोबली, वी नीड उसके ऊपर नंबर्स पे अभी तक उस तरीके से कोई सामने चीज़ें मतलब रिफ्लेक्ट नहीं हुई. बट एनी हाउ वी डेफिनेटली दे हैव set of expertise, they have there were successful programs, projects running, और मैं भी कुछ consulting roles में मौका मिला उस platform से भी deliver करने का. But the point is keeping your specific question in view, Mahmood साहब, कि आपकी जो ग्लोबल फंड फॉर सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट इन द ग्लोबल साउथ इज़ द गैप इज़ इंडीड मैसिवली डेफिनेटली, बट ये है कि बट जहाँ कहते हैं ना कि जहाँ चैलेंजेस होते हैं वहाँ अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ भी होती हैं, सिमिलरली द पोटेंशियल फॉर इनोवेशन इन फाइनेंसिंग इज़ इक्वली सिग्निफिकेंट। तो सो द जितनी भी ऑप्शंस हैं आपके पास क्लाइमेट फाइनेंसिंग को लेकर के, कार्बन मार्केट्स हो जाएं और आपने जो बाकी चीज़ों का जिक्र किया, रीजनल कोऑपरेशन और सारे मामलात, तो घूम घुमा के जो चीज़ सामने कीवर्ड निकलता है वो आपका आ जाता है public private partnerships का इनफैक्ट, and I believe that public private partnerships जो हैं hold the most promise, though जो बाकी हैं they also have a role to play, but what we can do is we can leverages जो है ना expertise and resources from the private sector, and that is something like where risk mitigation होता है गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर का, public spending, public money कम है आजकल, तो private sector can take certain risks at their end, एंड सिमिलरली लाइक जो टेक्निकल एक्सपर्टीज़ हैं, मैं आपकी जो ओवरऑल मैनेजरियल एफिशिएंसीज और बाकी जो कंटेक्स्ट में देखें तो रिस्क शेयरिंग जो है बेसिकली प्राइवेट सेक्टर मोस्टली टेक्स द लीड इन दैट थिंग एज वेल, और लेकिन ये कि अगर उसी को अगर आप अप्रोप्रिएटली रिस्क एलोकेट करें तो जो पीपीपी मोड हैं दे कैन मेक प्रोजेक्ट्स मोर अट्रैक्टिव फॉर द इन्वेस्टर्स एज वेल, and then definitely जिस तरह बताया कि private sector is often a driver of innovation which I have seen in Pakistani context as well, be it भी carbon markets देखें, private sector ने सबसे पहले break through दिया, EVs हो जाएं, कोई मर्जी टेक्नोलॉजी उठा दें, private sector ने ही पहले लीड लिया, गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर पॉलिसीज जो है ना catch up later on, so that is something like we have certain we have the organic growth of these PPP models down the line, and in context of like global south जो फाइनेंसिंग रिक्वायरमेंट्स हैं, एक और जो चीज़ जो गौरतलब है वो ये है कि हमारे जो हमारी लोकल एक्सपर्टीज़ हैं डेफिनेटली दे आर कैपेबल पीपल, बट वी मोस्टली लाइक कीप ऑन रिलाइंग ऑन द एक्सटर्नल रिसोर्सेज, लाइक हमारे आज के पैनल में इतने अच्छे एक्सपर्ट्स बैठे हैं ज़बरदस्त किस्म के, तो दे आर सब्जेक्ट मैटर एक्सपर्ट्स, बट लाइक जितनी ज़्यादा अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ इनको भी मिलेंगी, जितना आपको एक्सपोजर मिलता है, यू हैव द कैपेबिलिटी इन पाकिस्तान कि हम हर चीज़ को बाहर फोकस करें, रिलाई करें। और मुझे तो ज़ाती तौर पे मैं आपको बताऊं कि जब हम जब मतलब कॉप का मैं अब एंगल ये लेने लग गया हूँ कि शायद हम मांगने जाते हैं, बट एनी हाउ दैट्स अपनी राइट के लिए मांगना इट्स नॉट बैड, क्योंकि वी आर द विक्टिम्स ऑफ क्लाइमेट चेंज बिकॉज ऑफ द अदर कंट्रीज, डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज, बट कहाँ लगाना है, किन चीज़ों पे लगाना है, तो जो आपके एनडीसीज हैं, एनडीसी से अब नया एक शोशा चल पड़ा है, शोशा सॉरी टर्म मैंने मार्केट की यूज़ कर ली, प्रोविंशियल डिटरमिन्ड कंट्रीब्यूशंस, क्योंकि आपको एनडीसी में नहीं पता कि हर सूबे का रोल कितना उसने कंट्रीब्यूट किया और कितना उसको कितनी उसकी टारगेट अगर नेशनल लेवल पे डिवाइड करें, तो देयर आर सो मेनी अदर स्ट्रीम्स दैट विल कम अप, बट हमें सतही लेवल की बजाय पॉलिसी लेवल में हम घूमते रहते हैं, बट हम शॉप फ्लोर लेवल पे जाके जब तक एक्शन नहीं करेगा, ग्लोबल साउथ के जितने भी कंट्रीज हैं, इन लाइक हमारे नेबरिंग कंट्रीज वेरी गुड इन लाइक कमिंग अप विद द शॉप फ्लोर सॉल्यूशंस, इंडिजीनियस सॉल्यूशंस, तो इंडिजिनाइजेशन इज द की इन द एब्सेंस ऑफ क्लाइमेट फाइनेंस फ्रॉम ग्लोबल नॉर्थ, और साथ में आपकी जो है वो जो लोकल आपकी जो इंटेलेक्चुअल्स हैं, दे हैव टू जेल इन टुगेदर, उनके लिए कंडीसिव एनवायरनमेंट बनाया जाए, एंड डेफिनेटली रिजल्ट्स विल कम आउट, और दैट इज समथिंग लाइक वी नीड टू वर्क आउट एंड ऑन द ग्रैनुलर लेवल, जिसकी वजह से आपकी एनहेंस ट्रांसपेरेंसी का फ्रेमवर्क या ट्रांसपेरेंसी भी आएगी, और डेवलप्ड जो आपके जो डेवलपमेंट पार्टनर्स हैं दे विल लाइक फैसिलिटेट यू इन ए मच बेटर वे। एक और मैं चीज़ देखता हूँ कि जैसे इंडिया जो है ना वो डेवलपमेंट पार्टनर्स को निचोड़ता है सही तरीके से, पाकिस्तान निचोड़ता नहीं है, पाकिस्तान मतलब हमें वेलकम तो करना चाहिए, बट इफ वी हैव दैट मच कैपेबिलिटी और वो हमें फैसिलिटेट करने आ रहे हैं, भीख नहीं देने आ रहे, तो आर्टिकल जो आपका 9, 10, 11 ऑफ द पेरिस एग्रीमेंट है, तो सारा डोनर हमें टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर पे कोई नहीं फोकस करता, आपको कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग सॉफ्ट लॉन्च फोकस कर रहा होता है, और आपका जो है साथ में जो फाइनेंसिंग एस्पेक्ट को देख रहा होता है, बट इज दैट वॉल्यूम सफिशिएंट एनफ फॉर पाकिस्तान कि 2 मिलियन 7 मिलियन डॉलर की पाकिस्तान को शो करते हैं जी, तो लॉलीपॉप दिखाते हैं, एंड देन एट द एंड ऑफ द डे 4-5 मिलियन अपने मुल्क में वापस ले जाते हैं अपने कंसल्टेंट्स के थ्रू। सो दैट इज समथिंग, गैप को फिल अप किया जा सकता है थ्रू टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर, थ्रू आपके ट्रेनिंग ऑफ लोकल रिसोर्स, उनको मौका दिया जाए ज़्यादा लोकल रिसोर्सेज को डिलीवर करने का, और यहाँ के लोगों को फिर इंटरनेशनल लेवल पे एक्सपोजर दे के वहाँ पर भी सोल्यूशंस अप्लाई करने पे लगाया जाए। सो हमारे जो सरकारी इदारे हैं उनका एक लीडी रोल ये बनता है कि जो एक्सपर्ट्स डिप्यूट किए जाएँ हमें डेवलपमेंट पार्टनर्स की जानिब से, वो इस नौइयत के हों कि मंजे हुए और आके यहाँ पर रादर कि यहाँ से सीख के हमें अली बे पढ़ा के चले जाएं, तो बेहतर है कि इंडिया इज़ वेरी गुड एट दैट, एंड सरकारी लोग कि उनको पता है, दे नो देयर वर्क व्हाट दे वांट फ्रॉम देम, और सही निचोड़ते हैं। हमें निचोड़ना नहीं है, हम खुशामद करने लग जाते हैं शायद ड्यू टू सम सर्टन रीजंस, बट अगर टेक्निकल लोग बात करेंगे तो दे हैव टू वर्क, we have to talk on equal terms. There is no up and down, there is no senior juniority. We want our right and right through the proper allocation of resources. डंक पाओ प्रोग्राम खत्म करना होगा, जितनी भी रिसोर्स है उसको सही यूज कर लें, एंड देन यू विल गेट द रिजल्ट्स।
ठीक ठीक, थैंक यू सो मच सर। सो हियर वी आर के इंडिजिनाइज किया जाए जितनी हमारी एफर्ट्स हैं एंड ऑल द आइडियाज। आई वुड हैव अ क्वेश्चन। जी 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 जी, प्लीज प्लीज। Oh, he has left the meeting. Okay, still we would have a question from Asad Saab later on that even अगर हम resources को indigenize कर लें, finances को कैसे indigenize करेंगे, या simpler terms में इस market में cash flow कहाँ से आएगा? Moving on, there is also a social impact for all this climate crisis going on. And we have Dr. Nusrat Ehsan with us. We often discuss climate change in terms of economic terms. But could you shed light on how this crisis exhibits existing inequalities, particularly among women, indigenous communities, and especially low-income populations that make up the larger percentage of our population in Pakistan and Global South as well? Please.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. First of all, thank you so much for the invitation on such an innovative topic, and I am always inspired by the selection of the topics. So this is the requirement of the time that we discuss on this, and when I was looking at the overall theme and the questions, and the first question which you have thrown on the panelists, that what will happen on all of the, if all of the foreign aid vanishes or stops. I will start with this one and then I will come on the social impact. So here, when I think about the climate funds and the climate changes, I have one question, or you can say the counter question, that what are our own policies? What are we supposed to do? And what are our deadlines for receiving the or begging for the funds at the international level, whatever the country is? So if we are taking the United States and UK aid and all of these funds on the name of the floods, on the name of the droughts, or whatever the disasters come. So is there any deadline for receiving them? Do we think that Pakistan will stand all alone in terms of their own identity to cope up with all of these problems in the short term or the long term? Do we have designed our own policies on this? That after how much time, for example, if we talk about the sustainable development goals, there were millennium development goals, then we started working on the sustainable development goals, and then we will start a new story. So do we have our own identity as a country, or and that we have our own practical implementation plans for this? So this is very important to answer these questions, because if as a country or as a region we do not identify our own identity and we are always dependent upon any other country, we cannot take our own decisions, and then we cannot make any of our action plans. So all of this debate is of no use if we are not focusing on the identity as a country and as a region. The other thing is, which I want to quote, is that climate change is not a one-time action, and the mitigation or whatever the plans we make, the preventions, the changes which we want to bring, this is not a one-time process. This is a continuous process, and from the centuries, there are the floods, there are the droughts, there are the glacier meltings, and all of these impacts are increasing day by day. So what we need to focus on is that there are the adaptive practices. and we need to adapt with all of the climatic impacts which are generated right now in the short term and in the long term. So our preparation can be based on the future simulations, the modeling, and predicting that what happen in the future, the near future and the long term future. And I think that if we are not even capable of measuring the impact, assessing the impact, we cannot establish any policies to mitigate this impact. The thing which I want to quote is that if we talk about the Sustainable Development Goals, 7, 8 years गुजरने के बाद भी still we are not able to develop a single tool at the national level or at the provincial level which can record all of the impacts which are taken by the individual enterprises. So all of this debate is of no use if we cannot establish our own action plans. So the question which you has asked me about the vulnerable communities and especially the women, the thing is that the most affected economy comes later. The first thing is the health and the social circles. And the most, if we overall see the contribution or the ratio of the male and the female in our Pakistan, the female and children, their ratio is quite higher as compared to the males. I do not remember the exact values, but the ratio of the male is lower as compared to the females. And this also the vulnerable community as the females, the children, as well as the elder people. So there is a huge impact in terms of the finances, in terms of the livelihood. One main thing which is notable here is that the vulnerability of the people. This can be of two types. One is the permanent impacts, and one are the temporary impacts. The temporary impacts which are like flood आया उसके 2-3 months और the years के बाद आपने उस problems को sort out कर लिया. And the long term means that the problem cannot be sorted out in the longer run. So what happens in if we are talking about the short term, there are the series of episodes. For example, when we are talking about the floods, there are the series of episodes which are happening every year in Pakistan, and we are not taking the precautionary or adaptive measures. So what happens? The short-term effects are also converted into the long-term impacts, and the situation is like this is a cyclic way that the impacts are generated every year and there are no policies or no mitigation measures to address those problems. So in terms of the females and especially the children, there are a lot of impacts in terms of their food requirement, which is for the short term period of time, their temporary residence. There was one of the study which was conducted in during 2022 floods, and the females were we conducted the social survey from the females. That were just like there were more than 500 participants. This was very interesting study, and the people there said that if the male child of the family, if they get two breads, do rotiyan for the food after the flood, then they give one roti to the male, the boy of the family, and half to the female of the family. This is the social dilemma of our society कि they always prefer the males as compared to the females. So ये distribution ये उन्होंने बताई कि अगर हमारे पास मेल जो है वो एक रोटी ले रहा है तो फीमेल जो है वो आधी रोटी ले रही है, जबकि dietary requirements are quite higher in the females and the growing girls. So, quoting this example, they also quoted that they do not have any access to the sanitary products. They do not have any access to the medical care, especially for the pregnant ladies, the ladies which are on mother feed stage. So there were a lot of communicable diseases, and these are they are still, and this is happening not on the first time. This is happening since many years. So what have we developed? Have we developed any of the policies specific to the gender and the climatic impacts? No, we have not developed. So there should be the gender specific policies in terms of the climate or the disaster conditions too. Then one of the issue which I said about the short term, which I quoted, was the food and the basic requirements at that place. The other thing is the displacement. During the displacement, a lot of exploitation of the children and the females happen. Every year this happens, especially the physical abuse, the sexual abuse. This is very common in these areas. Have we taken any precautionary measures for this? No, they are not. Then the displacement and temporary residence, 70% women and the children get disturbed. Overall, if we see that the result of the 2022, 33 million people got displaced. 33 million is a lot of a large number of people, and among them was 70% women and the children. And similarly, if we see about the long-term impacts, the nutrition deficiencies is very high in Pakistan, and this especially happens in the flood-prone and the drought-prone areas. So even if we see that 40% of the children in Pakistan have the stunt growth, their growth is not proper, and if there is a stunt growth, then we assume the study according to the studies that there will be no proper working of the mind, and
So
obviously
डॉक्टर
if
नुसरत,
the mind is
अगर हमारे सोशल इश्यूज हैं, सो क्या ये एज अपॉर्चुनिटी पाकिस्तान या ग्लोबल साउथ के रीजन्स जितने हैं वो केटर कर सकते हैं टू अट्रैक्ट गुड फंडिंग एजेंसी, ल्यूक्रेटिव प्रोजेक्ट बनाने के लिए? क्या ये चीज़ें शामिल की जा सकती हैं या ये सोशल वैल्यूज
Yes,
मैटर करती
I
हैं?
am coming on that point. I am coming on that point too. So just one point which I want to add in the long-term impact is, as I mentioned about the nutritional deficiency. The last point is the waterborne diseases. The waterborne diseases, especially in these areas, they have also the long-term impact. So, what we can conclude from this discussion or the impacts which I have discussed in the short term and the long-term impacts, the thing is that when we are dependent upon the funds for the foreign aid, we can, other than the climatic funds, we can assume these as the opportunities to utilize the other aids or the funds. Why don't we get our education system strong with the collaboration of the other countries, with the collaboration of the higher education system? We can make our policies, our trainings. There are a lot of work which is being started at the international level about the faculty training, about the farmers training. There are many countries which are providing the volunteer training at the very basic level. हमारे यहाँ पाकिस्तान के अंदर ये समझा जाता है कि टेक्निकल एजुकेशन अगर कोई ले रहा है तो वो शायद कम पढ़ा लिखा है और he has not the abilities to get proper grades. So the training particular to the scenarios, this is the need of the time. And yes, there can be the opportunities to get the foreign funds, especially in the volunteer trainings, the technical trainings. And after getting these skills, this should be implemented in Pakistan.
श्योर, थैंक यू सो मच। और ये अप्रोच भी बहुत अच्छी है कि सोशल एस्पेक्ट को भी देखा जाए फॉर द फंडिंग रेवेन्यूज। Okay, with that, we should be moving towards Ms. Fauzia Safdar. Ms. Sustainability consulting requires a forward-thinking approach, or more of a buzzword, proactive approach. So how can local industries and private sector players be incentivized to invest in climate action, especially if and when international aid is dwindling at moments?
Well, after listening so much expert opinion, seriously, I'm thinking that we are among a bunch of problems and the solutions are somewhere hidden. Before I will give you response to the question which you have asked from me, I want to just add 2 points to first panelist, Ms. Noureen, when she said that we are always criticized that our projects are not properly documented or not documented as per required. So definitely, if you have not shown any kind of reasoning of successfully getting that fund, definitely that you cannot achieve. So I will come to that thing, that how we can do. So that's one of the big problem. You cannot win any kind of funding if you are not presenting your case in the way they are asking for. Why Pakistan is not capable of presenting their projects in a way, and why there is a basic reservation from them that the documentation or the case you have presented is not strong or is not carrying the points that can really secure the funds. I really want to answer that question in my discussion. Secondly, Dr. Nusrat has identified that if you cannot manage, if you cannot measure, you cannot manage. So that is one point which is connected to Ms. Noureen's point. So before jumping into that, Pakistan being the most vulnerable country, and Pakistan is ranked as fifth among the most affected in 2018 survey, but later they will be ranked as 140th among 234 countries which is affected by climate change. So being the vulnerable, we have secured a lot of funding from World Bank, Green Climate Fund. I really want to give a pressure to Green Climate Fund, because the main agenda of today's session is that what will happen if USAID will not continue to give the support for all the projects which they are leading before. And then we get lots of funding from Asia Development Bank. UK has already promised a lot, and domestic initiatives are already there. So I will literally disagree with few things. Policies are there. Pakistan is making the policies. We cannot always criticize that this thing is not there, that thing is not there. We are doing lots of things. The only problem is finance, because you cannot execute anything if you don't have the funds for that project. So coming back to the question of our first panelist, Ms. Noureen, right? So what's the reason that our projects are not getting successful? The documentation is very hard, or we are not giving them the proper facts in numbers. For every climate funding project, they want two basic things. What is the additionality you are adding by the project? And is this project is giving a permanency to the initiative for that project which you are proposing? Both related to the numbers. So, and coming back to Doctor's point, measurement. So if we are not measuring our performances, when I work with the industry and when I work for their sustainability initiatives, sustainability performances, sustainability reports, I have to explain them that this is very different to your financial numbers or the financial statements. In the financial statements, every business or every organization want to showcase best of their picture by creating the provisions, by creating some kind of adjustments in the financial statements. But when it comes to the sustainability performance, business level, province level, country level, one very clear understanding is nobody is expecting a beautiful picture of yours. So give the exact numbers. So if you are asking for a climate fund which is related to agriculture, we have to do exact measurement that how your agriculture is getting in numbers, in values affected because of the climate change. And this climate change affecting this much of our crop in value, and this much value is reflecting us into the economic loss. And this much number of the economic loss is leading to our poverty, hunger, or inability to make the payment to our employees or people, or basic needs. So you have to prepare your case in such a way that you give the exact real number supported by the evidences, And when you are bringing that project for approval, 2 points, how you will improve that, and either your initiative or the project is bringing any kind of permanency. So this is the way we have to deal it. And trust me, I'm working with the businesses. We have these capacities here in Pakistan. I agree with Asad that we are really just talking about the capacity building. This is the time, whatever we have learned, start executing, because when we will practically implementing the things during that real time, real world experience, we will learn a lot. So with the current scenario, if we face some kind of, when we are executing some project and we see that we are unable to do some measurement, or we have to do some transition from one process to another process, or we have to introduce some innovation or a new technology, that will really give a real-time experience to us. So I will believe, I do agree that we don't need the capacity building now, we need the execution now. So coming back to our theme, USAID, literally, not only Pakistan, half of the countries in this universe is affected by them. And I was after I got an invitation from you, I literally start listening about in the news and reading the newspapers that what is happening, what our neighbor countries are doing. Everyone is now talking about one point, which I really love about that. We were depending on donations. We were depending on external resources. Now is the time to look what funds we have in-house and how we have to restructure and reorganize the utilization of the funding we have in-house in Pakistan, in form of private sector, in form of any other international contribution, which is still we have, or the government initiatives and the fundings. And one most important, what initiatives Pakistan as government can provide to the businesses, which can enhance the export, that will really lessen our problem of cash flows or the dollar balances with us. So this is the time that we have to look at what resources we have and how we have to prioritize those resources, rather than just to thinking about adaptation, that okay, I am making a fence around the dam, so any kind of floods will become lessened. Or we have to start measuring our, for example, emissions and reducing it. So we will be partnering with the country who are really talking about mitigation rather than adaptation. So I would love to answer any of the question later on, but this is my point of view right now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So let's say कि due to any other political reason, अगर कल को हमारे पास ADB, GCF या ये लोग भी किसी वजह से इनकार कर देते हैं to fund, so what do we have to do on our own as a proactive approach? And not just Pakistan, all the global South nations, उनकी priorities किस तरह set होनी चाहिए that they do not permanently depend on the international funders. We will try to get the answer of this question later on, but at last, and certainly not the least, we have Sir Wajid Usmani. Wajid Sahab, at the heart of the crisis, is सारे मसाइल में सबसे जो अहम चीज़ है, that is money, the finances, the funding, where it comes from, where it goes, and who is controlling it. Given the shifting landscape जो आज हमारे पास है, what policy changes do you believe are essential to ensure long-term climate resilience for all the global South nations, sir?
Assalamu alaikum, and thank you very much and giving me the last slot. Actually, I'm not as literate as you guys are. I am an accountant by profession. So Thank you very much for inviting me and giving the last slot. So it gave me some time to think. Well, there are certain issues which I would like to discuss here. Number one, the topic of your discussion is very interesting. What happens if USA just leaves, and how it affects Pakistan and other countries? I will talk about uh, this impact in two different scenarios. One is my personal impact on me, because I was working with a lot of USAID projects as a consultant. So it has a big impact on me. But if I look with the perspective of the country as a whole, so let me tell you very interesting thing, that as a country, USAID's assistance was only 1% of the total resources we have. I was working with the National Finance Commission of Pakistan, uh, assisting KB government. So I have a lot of data with me. So when you guys invited me for this workshop, I just did a quick research, and I found out that during the period from 2007 till 8, 2007, 8 till today, the average assistance to Pakistan from USAID is 1%, total 1%. The highest contribution USAID made towards Pakistan was 4%, and that was in 2000, somewhere in 2009 or 10. So I think that yes, USAID leaving is a big thing, but if we look at the perspective of the finances, luckily we will not be much affected, because their total contribution towards Pakistan's economy was only 1%. Yes, its impact was very high because of many other reasons, and I think it's not a very apt place to discuss all those things. But I'm just starting that shutting off USAID impacting a number of people in Pakistan who were employed with USAID as the direct employees, or who were the employees in different projects. It is a big shock to them, but luckily towards Pakistan as a country, it's not a big deal. Then I would like to discuss briefly about this 1%. USAID contributes in two different manner. One is direct assistance to government of Pakistan, which they called on budget financing, and then there was some off budget financing. And जैसा असद साहब ने कहा that the out of this 1%, majority of their projects were off budget financing, which means that they were being implemented through different contractors, mainly from the US origin. So as Asad साहब ने कहा था कि जो सारे पैसे तो कंसल्टेंट वापस लेके चले आते हैं, तो to some extent that was true as well. Now, the big question, from where we have to fill the gap of this 1%. This is a big question. So if your total resources are around 40 trillion, and including debts and development grants and things like that. So unfortunately, what happens in Pakistan, that our major source of financing is debt. And if we classify, अगर मैं इसको मजीद bifurcate करूँ, तो debt, major source of financing जो debt किया, that comes from the domestic debt, which means that Pakistan has ample resources. The issue is, forgive me from that big statement of mine, that we have ample resources. We don't have ample resources compared to our needs, but we have resources in terms of the issue is how to channelize them. In Pakistan, as Asad Sahab has said in his statement, that we can channelize public-private partnership is a big stream where we can actually finance them. Then I think the previous speaker and the first speaker both were of the view that that we have to think, we have to rethink our processes and procedures. I will tell you an interesting thing, that Pakistan, the federal government has a climate change financing framework in place. Similarly, KP government has a climate change financing framework in place. But the unfortunate part is that these frameworks are established and then shelved. So the basic philosophy of developing these financing frameworks was that the government would start to track its expenditure, climate relevant expenditure, and then based on before tracking, we will start to plan our expenditure, climate relevant expenditure, and then we will develop climate sensitive budgeting. We will implement those things, and then once these two things will be implemented, then gradually we will move towards tracking the government expenditure, at least for the climate relevant budgeting, tracking, and then reporting. But unfortunately, what happened, that these frameworks were established, but we never actually implemented these initiatives. So I believe that Pakistan is a country which has a lot of regulations. We are over-regularized country, but we don't implement things. So the most important thing that we should take a step back, take a deep breath, and we should assess our situation, that which kind of good things we already have in our pocket, and then we start to implement those things so that we can use those things for our benefit. Thank you.
जी थैंक यू सर। और जैसे मैंने मिस फौजिया से पूछा था वो प्रोएक्टिव अप्रोच के मुतालिक, तो सर जैसे देयर कुड बी एनी फाइनेंशियल टूल्स जो हम बना सकें या डिज़ाइन कर सकें जिससे हम इंडिजनाइज कर सकें उस सारे पैसे को, क्राउड फंडिंग कर सकें या कोई भी ऐसी टेक्निक। सो इज देयर एनी, और अगर कोई है तो उसकी इम्प्लीमेंटेशन, उसकी डिज़ाइनिंग में कितना टाइम लग सकता है, क्या ज़रूरत हो सकती है हमें?
वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन। जैसे मैंने अभी थोड़ी देर पहले आपसे कहा था कि हमारे पास क्लाइमेट फाइनेंसिंग फ्रेमवर्क्स मौजूद हैं, विच मीन्स और जो फाइनेंसिंग फ्रेमवर्क हैं वो हमें बताते हैं कि आपने बेसिकली दीज फ्रेमवर्क्स वर एस्टैब्लिश्ड टू बी प्रोएक्टिव। हम ये चाहते थे कि हम प्रोएक्टिव हों, हम अपनी प्लानिंग में इनकॉर्पोरेट करें क्लाइमेट के एक्शन को, ताकि हमें मालूम हो कि हम जो भी हमारे पास जो भी हम अपना काम करना चाह रहे हैं मुस्तकबिल में, वो उसका कितना इम्पैक्ट क्लाइमेट के लिए होगा और वो हमें कितना को तैयार करेगा। सो द इशू इज what I have actually recognized, and forgive me for my wording, that in Pakistan we have a lot of systems and tools available, but accountability does not exist. और अगर हम इस पे डिस्कशन शुरू कर दें why accountability does not exist, one of the major reasons is that our political elite, which is responsible for actually performing the accountability of the management and of the executives, they are not performing their job. So there are methodologies available at the moment. I would say कि हमारे पास फौरी तौर पर गवर्नमेंट ऑफ पाकिस्तान के पास इतने रिसोर्सेस नहीं हैं कि हम government of Pakistan at its own perform this job, but we have to look for other avenues like public-private partnerships, and luckily I believe we have that amount of private capital in Pakistan, either in Pakistan or abroad, that we can actually utilize those private finances with the help of the government to mitigate the risk of shutdown of the USAID.
जी थैंक यू सर मिस नौरीन आई वुड लाइक टू कम बैक टू यू कि जितने हमारे पास गवर्नमेंट के इनिशिएटिव्स हैं आर दे सेल्फ सफिशिएंट और आपके ख्याल में उसके अंदर टेक्निकल एक्सपर्टीज की कमी है किसी भी इम्प्रूवमेंट की ज़रूरत है इन द एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ फाइनेंसिंग
Thank you very much, Mahmood. And really all the panelists, they have explained very well about this topic and actually what they are doing in their sectors. And especially I always feel very, very happy when people, they always say about their contributions, what they are actually playing their role for the betterment of our country. Yes, Mahmood, definitely. We have some limitations as well, or you can say कि we have to work upon many things. जैसे कि मैंने पहले भी mention किया था when I'm describing all these things कि जो climate finance की strategy या उसकी जो उसको approach करने के लिए अभी भी जो आप कह लें कि हम उस step तक नहीं पहुंच पा रहे. And we are working very closely with that department as well. What actually they are saying our approach towards the mitigation and adaptation with respect to the formulation of the project proposals, they are not according to the Pakistan strategy. So we are nowadays working upon it a lot, that how we can make our projects more successful to gain the climate finance from the donor agencies. क्योंकि डोनर एजेंसीज ही आपको अप्रोच करेंगी व्हेन वी आर डिस्कसिंग अबाउट दिस हाउ वी कैन हैव दिस ग्रांट और लोन और एनीथिंग एल्स. लेकिन जहां तक हम बात करते हैं कि अगर गवर्नमेंट खुद इन तमाम सिनेरियोज को देखे तो उसमें फिर ये है कि वी हैव सर्टेन सेक्टर्स ना, लाइक अगर हम देखते हैं एनर्जी है या इसके अलावा एजुकेशन है, हेल्थ है, ट्रांसपोर्ट है, एग्रीकल्चर है, तो उसमें उनके जो प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं दे आर लाइक what we have done by this year कि हमने सारे projects में either they are of the any provincial government or you can say the federal level, उसमें हमने एक जो है ना बजट अप्रूव किया है क्लाइमेट चेंज के ऊपर. और हर प्रोजेक्ट जो है ना वो ऐसे डिजाइन होगा कि वी हैव टू इन्वेस्ट समथिंग इन द कैटेगरी ऑफ क्लाइमेट चेंज, either that project is fall in the mitigation side or on the adaptation side. So this is one of the very, you can say, pivotal or significant step the government has taken so far for the, you can say, positive contribution in the field of climate change. So सारे projects जितने भी आप देखेंगे in the coming years, उनमें आपके मतलब जो भी उस project की cost होगी उसमें एक chunk जो है that must be present for the climate change. So it's you can say कि this is one of the, you can say, the positive step the government has taken. बाकी donor agencies के projects हैं वो तो आपको पता ही है कि they are overall designed in such a way कि we have to मतलब we have to design our project according to their you can say categories or according to their documentation with respect to climate change. तो ये एक आप कह लें कि this is one of the thing which we have done so far.
Sure, thank you so much. मैं अपने बाकी questions बाद में पूछता हूँ. First we have the questions in the chat box. Ms. Fauzia, I would like you to answer this. Can we focus more on bilateral country relations rather than donor agencies for climate funding?
Yes, of course. I believe that with this incidents which happened with the USAID, I believe that we have to go for more stakeholder engagement as compared to restricting ourselves with one agency or one specific source. Because if we look at that after this USAID thing done, our health sector, our education, agriculture sector, and energy sector, 4 sectors, they have major projects. If I give you the number in health sector, around $52 million programs that is on hold now. In education sector, $30 million. Likewise, agriculture, on which Pakistan is based, $24 million initiative was launched for the farmers at climate change. That is now on hold. So if you see and look at the numbers, and energy sector, which is a prime sector for your session, $50 million are on project which is on Mangla Dam's a rehabilitation project that is essential for Pakistan energy and water security, that has been suspended. So just look at the numbers, that depending on one resource or one source of cash flows or capital or financing, it's better to more engaged with the stakeholders and reduce your risks, because depending on one source means you are on highest risk, and when you are dividing or engaging with more, you are actually diversifying your risk in reporting manners. So yeah, it's better to have more collaboration with the countries. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Or okay, anyone from the contestants, they can also just switch their mics on and ask the question if they want. Meanwhile, I have a question with Miss Noureen that जैसे असद सर ने कहा था कि टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर के ऊपर फोकस होना चाहिए rather than just फंड्स ट्रांसफर. सो आजकल या जितनी भी गवर्नमेंट के ऑफिसेज में डिस्कशंस होती हैं या होती हैं, क्या उसके अंदर ये चीज़ फोकस में है that there should be technology transfer as a main focus, स्पेसिफिकली जितने हमारे टेक्निकल सेक्टर्स हैं एनर्जी के, क्लाइमेट के, वहाँ पर? Okay, I guess that could be a technical issue. Meanwhile, if there are any questions, you may proceed, please. ऑडियंस में से आप चैट बॉक्स में भी क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हैं और अपना माइक ऑन करके भी क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हैं.
I believe because we just left with the 50 minutes for this session, I think it's better is that we move on to your questions and you know, everybody will get benefit of the conclusion which you are planning for.
Yeah, okay, sure. Okay, so हम मिस नौरीन वाले क्वेश्चन पे बाद में आते हैं. I would जैसे आपने कहा था मिस.
Yes, for sure you can ask. Sorry, actually I think some technical problem is there. You can ask me now. Yes.
Okay, I was asking about the technology transfer thing जो असद साहब ने बात की थी. So क्या गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसेज में या डिस्कशंस में ये चीज़ फोकस में होती है that we can just put some focus out of the funds and financing a little and put more focus on the technology transfer बाहर की एजेंसी से, अगर एजेंसी से बात करनी भी है, किसी bilateral relation पे बात करनी है किसी country से. So
Right,
we
right.
should talk about technology transfer. Yeah, please.
Technology transfer in the sense like you are saying in the PPP mode, public-private partnership you are talking about?
No, international partnerships.
International partnerships. No, up till now we don't have such type of, you can say, interventions we have taken, because you can say on the government level when we are designing all those policies, so we are very, you can say, stick, or you can say we are very much in, you can say matlab, there are some limitations na, so we can't like all the time we can, you can say facilitate, or you can say we have liaisons with those and agencies or bilateral any institutions that they should, that we have such type of technology transfer. But yes, what actually like this one of the, you can say, the prime projects or the significant projects, and they are, you can say, they have a very huge number. The like the solarization thing na, which I have discussed in my first thing when we start the session. So like we really want the international organizations, especially from where we are importing all those equipments like solar panels, inverters and batteries. So we are, you can say, like in the negotiations with certain agencies as well as with the companies, that they set their business in Pakistan. So we so that this time like we can promote the solar PV panels industry here in Pakistan as well. And similarly with the ADB, Asian Development Bank, we are working with them as well, that we will set the recycling plant of these all lithium ion batteries in the future as well. In the case of EVs, what we are doing up till now, we have just we have import all those technologies from the China, but still we are also, you can say, we are in the negotiation process with the Chinese companies as well, and many other companies, that they will set up their businesses over here in Pakistan, so that EV technology must be in the cheaper sense. Definitely अगर कोई चीज आप import करेंगे, it's a very basic thing, तो वो आपको यहाँ पे जब भी आप अपने मुल्क में इसको implement करेंगे, that must be, you can say, expensive one na? So it's really very important that we should have that facility in our own country, so that it is accessible, it is also on the cheaper rates, or anyone can have access of it. Another thing, the hydrogen energy, which is nowadays we are conducting their feasibility study as well. So we are also in the negotiation level with one of the Australian company, and they really want to launch this hydrogen energy. One of the you can say the prototype has been done in the Sindh government, but Punjab haven't had such type of any kind of thing here as well. So technology transfer के लिए या इन चीज़ों पे काम तो definitely हो रहा है, but we have to think about other more what actually we can do more in the renewable sector, rather than to have more in the, you can say, the other fuel which can be utilized in the non-renewable sector. So
All right, Ms. Noureen, I guess Ms. Fauzia has a point to information. She has raised her hand. Please, you can continue.
Yes, Fauzia.
Yeah, Noureen, I would love to have a discussion with you on this one.
Yes.
You said that you are promoting the solar panel installment and inclusion of solar panels in businesses. So when I work with businesses, the first question which was raised to me as a consultant to them was, Fauzia, what's the benefit that if I move to solar panels? Okay, I will be having a more conformity of having energy in house, and the energy disruption, electricity disruption can get addressed, and the net benefit is also a little bit lessened because of the net metering of solar and the grid. That has also become a negative point from business point of view. So I believe that the next thing is, because any business, government level, I understand that government is working the policies and everything for people. Government is for people. When you talk to the business, they want what is the benefit for themselves. So exactly. I want to respond to them that, okay, with investment in solar panels, you can actually enter to the voluntary carbon market. And I'm very happy to see that Pakistan has already published their carbon market policies.
Yeah, so exactly.
I believe that speeding up the process, we have seen that just like COVID happened overnight and the economies get disturbed and the people get disturbed, we can see any kind of such risk. This USAID is again a risk that all of a sudden overnight it's a stop, and many of the projects not in Pakistan, many other countries get disrupted. Yeah. So I believe that connecting the initiatives with the opportunities, risks with the benefits will actually speed up. One thing. And second thing, I have done a lot of research on EV, introduction of EV in any country. So I am based in UK, and I was working very closely for a British petroleum company, and they have done a lot of good initiatives, and they claimed a lot of good targets, and they said that we are giving the electric infrastructure, because you are bringing the EVs in the country, but if you are not giving the recharging infrastructure, then those EVs will not get benefited. So what they have done, they have revised their targets of having the infrastructure in UK because of the availability of finances. So I have a question from you for EVs, that
Yeah.
you have done a discussion with China and you're bringing the technology to bring the EVs or assembling the EVs here in Pakistan. Are you guys have planned about the infrastructure for the recharging system, for the refueling of system in Pakistan for the EVs? And secondly, your third thing, hydrogen. Trust me, many oil and gas companies in Pakistan, they are doing this feasibility of shifting to hydrogen. Hydrogen has one good aspect of bringing the emissions at almost zero level. But on the other side, the transportation of hydrogen from the extraction to the point where they can use their storage is still under consideration. So my question to the government, and you being the representative of the government, is Pakistan having the limited resources by finances, by cash flows, less involvement from the private sector. Why don't you think about taking the smaller steps, going into that thing which is physically possible, proven technologies, the case studies or transformation which has really given a very good return to the economy, rather than having a sudden shift to hydrogen and to EV? That is my question from you, actually. Thank you so very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Fauzia, for your nice discussion and the 2 points you have just raised so far. I'm really happy that you are working in a very good organization over there, and you're also working on such a sector. And we all are like wants to contribute a very positive role in this climate finance and climate change category for the well-being of Pakistan, definitely. Fauzi, actually, your first question with respect to recharging station of EVs, up till now, there are very less number of EVs, or you can say the charging stations present in Punjab or all over the Pakistan. Secondly, the thing is, I have just mentioned that we have launched one of the project with the transport company, and the donor agency is World Bank. The name of the project is Punjab Clean Air Program. Usme the one of the prime you can say the thing is we have to launch the EV buses, and approximately there will be plus 32 buses only in Lahore, and the other buses will be in the different districts of Punjab. So what we are doing, that first of all, before these all buses to be in Pakistan, as I have said that we have just imported them from the China, these we have just built up their infrastructure, that we have to definitely charge them as well. Otherwise, it will it will be a null and void, you can say a zero project. But we have a bus and we don't have the infrastructure. Yes, we have developed the infrastructure for that as well. And the people who are living in Lahore, they can see these all buses now are on the road, and we can have this you can say people will benefit from this project. But those infrastructure is only, you can say, utilized or can be used for only those buses. The EVs, if some cars are present in Pakistan or in Lahore, they can't use that infrastructure because that is typically related to only those buses. But yes, in the transport sector, they are as I said to you, we want because of all these climatic changes, greenhouse gas emissions, whatever we are talking about, all we really want we have to have this EV in our Pakistan as well, so that that technology must be cheaper and everyone has the access of it. So in this case, we are definitely improve our infrastructure as well. Definitely we have to install the charging stations, and then we can have the next step, that we will have this EV company or factories in Pakistan. So we are working on it, but the work which has been done, that as I shared with you, and the other thing is in the pipeline now. I think I should satisfy you, Fauzia, with this.
Yeah, Noureen, like on the planning side, on the project side, it's very much attractive being Pakistani. But I'm really concerned about the financing and the cash flows availability, because
Yeah.
Pakistan introduced many projects in different time horizon. We have come up with, Pakistan has a good brain. And
Yeah, Fauzia, just one thing which you have said. Actually, मैं आपको बताऊं, यही एक problem है, and I always talk about whenever we have a discussion at the bigger forums as well. कि project तो आप launch करते हैं, we have the project in the pipeline as well, and really those projects are in those brains which we, मतलब it's not only me ना, many other people are also in the team and we work together. लेकिन अगर उस प्रोजेक्ट की सस्टेनेबिलिटी नहीं ना होगी, ठीक है, इफ यू डोंट वर्क ऑन इट्स सस्टेनेबल मॉडल, तो वो खराब हो जाएगा. इसका एक बहुत, मैं आपको बताऊं, एक बहुत अच्छी एग्जांपल है जो कि वो 10 बिलियन सुनामी प्रोजेक्ट था ना हमारा, जिसमें इन्होंने 10 बिलियन ट्रीज जो हैं. अब उसमें क्या प्रॉब्लम था, उसमें देखिए 10 बिलियन ट्रीज प्लांट करना इज नॉट द प्रॉब्लम, यू हैव टू मेक द स्ट्रेटेजी फॉर इट्स सस्टेनेबिलिटी. जल गए सारे पौधे, मतलब हाँ, तो मतलब इट्स, मतलब आप देखिए, आपने रिसोर्स भी जाया किया, आपने कैश फ्लोज, फाइनेंसेस, एवरीथिंग इज एट द एंड ऑफ द डे आपने इसको डस्टबिन कर दिया, ठीक है. मतलब यू हैव टू प्लान द ऑन द सस्टेनेबिलिटी मॉडल from the very first day when you conceive the project. It's really very important.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. So I think we are on the same line that.
Exactly. About your second question, hydrogen energy. Actually, आप बिल्कुल ठीक कह रही हैं. अभी तक पंजाब गवर्नमेंट भी और बाकी भी जो हमारे पास प्राइवेट सेक्टर है, we only have done the feasibility studies, nothing else. Exactly. Like we haven't implement anything, we just have the feasibility study, and you can say that we are like no doubt it's 101% sure कि like जो private sector है, they really want to collaborate with the government sector, और उसमें they really want to work with us, they come to us, they really want how we can implement this hydrogen technology in Pakistan, but still मतलब we don't have any policy definitely. तो इसलिए हम इस पे मतलब what I can say कि we are not.
I believe that because when I work with businesses as a sustainability consultant, trust me, their first question is, okay, Fauzia, you are talking about the expense, you are talking about the risks. What are the benefits or the opportunities in this project?
Yeah.
So yeah, and I believe that bringing the idea right now, idea is the $1 billion product or asset, but that idea's technical and financial feasibility, or wahi wali, the thing which I was referring you in the beginning, that the project will not become successful if you will not bringing the permanency factor.
Exactly, permanence is really very important ना. मतलब like आप एक चीज, मतलब आप इतना पैसा, मतलब $billion आप लगा दें और फिर that thing after few years वो जाया हो जाए, तो what is actually the stay, मतलब you are actually मतलब just आपकी सारी मनी आप उसको जाया कर रहे हैं, कुछ भी नहीं है, मतलब उसकी कोई स्ट्रेंथनिंग नहीं है, उसकी कोई आपके लिए we don't have any sustainability, तो that thing is not worthable.
Perfect. I believe, Urfi, we have done lots of discussion. Me and Noureen, I think.
Yeah. Anything else or anyone want to ask? Any question, any from any side?
जी questions इंशाल्लाह अभी और भी आते हैं. But there is a question I would like to ask from Usmani Saab. So you started very humbly, but still there is a big question for you, that how viable is the concept of debt for climate swaps as a means of mitigating fiscal stress while maintaining the climate commitments? What policy frameworks would be required at both donor and recipient levels? Till now we are talking about the recipient more, but what policy frameworks would be required at both the donor and recipient levels to make such swaps a widespread reality? Usmani sir, please give a comment.
Thank you very much. Debt as an instrument for financing seems a bit not liked by everyone actually, because people think that actually proves to be counterproductive. ऐसा नहीं है. असल में issue happens when you start to use your debts for financing your working capital needs. हमें at the moment जो पाकिस्तान में जनरली इशू फेस करना पड़ता है वो ये है कि जो हमारे यहाँ डेट की जो सिक्योरिटी है या जो बिजनेसमैन को जो सहूलत हासिल है वो ये है कि हम डेट लेके आराम से उसको बैड डेट में कन्वर्ट करा सकते हैं. हमारे यहाँ जो लॉज हैं वो इतने स्ट्रेंथन नहीं है या इतने फ्रूटफुल नहीं है कि हमारी जो डेट मार्केट है उसमें जो इन्वेस्टर है उसको प्रोटेक्शन मिल सके. आपका सवाल ये कि अगर हम डेट को इस डेट स्वैप को इंट्रोड्यूस करते हैं उसके लिए भी हमारी जो डेट मार्केट है दैट इज स्टिल इन वेरी नेसेंट स्टेजेस. इसके लिए जरूरी है कि हमारा जो प्राइवेट सेक्टर है जो हमारी जो प्राइवेट सेक्टर की जो पब्लिक लिमिटेड कंपनीज होती हैं वो बड़ी कंपनीज में हो जहाँ पे हमारी जो मार्केट्स हैं जहाँ पे डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट को डील किया जाए या हमारी जो इन्वेस्टमेंट जो अदर देन डेट टूल्स हैं जिसको हम स्टॉक एक्सचेंजेस कहते हैं उनको इतना स्ट्रेंथन होना चाहिए कि जहाँ पे ये इन इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स की मार्केट हो, डिमांड हो. डिमांड तो आप क्रिएट कर सकते हैं, सप्लाई तो पाकिस्तान में डिमांड तो शायद हो लेकिन अभी सप्लाई साइड जो है हमारी वीक है क्योंकि हमारी जो पब्लिक लिमिटेड कंपनीज हैं अभी उन्होंने इतनी हमारे यहाँ उनका वो क्या कहते हैं स्पेक्ट्रम नहीं है. जो हमारे यहाँ पब्लिक लिमिटेड कंपनीज हैं वो शेयर्स आर बीन ट्रेडेड इन द स्टॉक एक्सचेंज आर लिमिटेड नॉट इन दैट क्वांटिटी कि वो एक अट्रैक्टेबल मार्केट की सूरत में नजर आए फॉर अदर इन्वेस्टमेंट पर्पसेस. एट द मोमेंट पाकिस्तान जो मार्केट है जो हमारे यहाँ इन्वेस्टमेंट मार्केट जो कहलाती है वो उसका फोकस सारे का सारा हमारे यहाँ है शेयर्स के अंदर. जो इंस्टीट्यूशनल इन्वेस्टर्स हैं बैंक्स हैं और अदर जो कंपनीज इंश्योरेंस कंपनीज वगैरह जो इंस्टीट्यूशनल इन्वेस्टर्स हैं वो पाकिस्तान में अभी इतने एक्टिव नहीं है या इतने इस्टेब्लिश नहीं है कि वो इस मार्केट की तरफ उनको ये मार्केट इतनी अट्रैक्टिव नजर आए. तो पहले तो हमें एक अपनी मार्केट को इस्टेब्लिश करने की जरूरत है जहाँ पे लोग ज्यादा से ज्यादा. पाकिस्तान में अनफॉर्चुनेटली जो ट्रेंड है पाकिस्तान में ये कि जो भी इन्वेस्टर है जिसके पास भी पैसा है वो he or she likes to invest in the land. The plot ले लो which is the most safest, which is the safest option actually. And this is because that we don't have the proper mechanism available for the investors to वो उसको उस तरफ वो देख सकें कि जब उनको कोई मसाइल पेश आते हैं. वी हैव वेरी वीक और फ्रेजाइल रेगुलेटरी मार्केट, regulatory framework which actually there is no support available to the investor. So most of the peoples are investing in वो जो सट्टा है speculative market में invest कर रहे हैं और इस तरह जो institutional investment है उसकी रेगुलेटरी फ्रेमवर्क ना होने की वजह से लोग इस पे इतना सोच नहीं रहे हैं कि हमें इस मार्केट को इस्टेब्लिश करने की जरूरत है. बट विद द पैसेज ऑफ टाइम अगर हम क्लाइमेट फाइनेंस को अट्रैक्ट कर सके फ्रॉम डिफरेंट डोनर्स तो सर्टनली ये मार्केट इस्टेब्लिश हो सकती है.
राइट, थैंक यू सो मच. अच्छा, ग्लोबल साउथ को प्रायोरिटाइज करना चाहिए इंडिजिनस पूल को, इंडिजिनस फाइनेंसिंग को, बट देयर इज अनदर साइड ऑफ द कॉइन कि इवन इफ दे प्रायोरिटाइज SWFs, sovereign wealth funds, for climate financing, so is it viable or do structural vulnerabilities make this unfeasible? Because in most of the global south nations and in developing countries transparency के issues आते हैं और mechanisms के issues आते हैं. So is it viable to tell at a universal scale global south के nations को कि yes they can indigenize their funding pool? This is the question from all of the panelists, whoever can answer.
I think in For the countries like Pakistan, this idea is too costly at the moment, because I just said that our majority of our financing is coming from the loans, and loans means domestic debt, which means that the government of Pakistan actually surviving on the loans borrowed by the banks in the form of debt instruments sold, or which is bonds की selling है. So at the moment, Pakistan is not able to contribute much. So I think this is a good idea. It appears to be a lovely, philosophically a good thing that we can create, if we can create such kind of sovereign funds where Pakistan and other countries can contribute. But as you just said, that one of the biggest challenge is the transparency. But to me, the challenge is that how government of Pakistan will be able to find extra resources for contributing to such fund. At the moment, the country is actually facing the biggest challenge of how to finance its resources from its own sources. So as someone in the initially said, I think it was Fauzia, who said that we have to improve we have to actually think to improve our own source resources by improving our exports and introducing our increasing our own source revenue. So until we have that bigger pool from where we can actually finance our immediate needs, and then we have sufficient fund to contribute. Until then, this idea, I think, will not be really workable.
Okay, all right. We would be within a week publishing the working paper for this all this issue as well. So we would be having more inputs from you guys all of the time. Ms. Fauzia, you can have the point of information, and please add the response to this question as well. That what policy incentives are most effective? Very to the point, like 1, 2, 3. The most effective incentives in driving corporate ESG compliance in emerging economies, including Pakistan as well. Please.
Well, I believe first is the incentivization. So if we will start introducing some kind of green tax credits or incentives, I believe that will be something which will help us to do the initiatives, or in business sector or private sector, to start thinking about practically that if they are doing such and such practices or initiatives, or they are transforming themselves to a more sustainable business, and we incentivize them through tax credits, or we can give them some kind of subsidies if they are moving to, suppose, renewable energy projects. I believe that's a way we can start introducing or making the business excited about this regime at individual level, at business level, and in reforming or reorganizing their internal resources. Other than that, I believe as State Bank of Pakistan is working for many years now with respect to green financing, they have already introduced the green bonds. So if we think about sustainability related loans or green projects, green fundings, and we can create different kind of financing products by the financial institutions, then I believe that will also, you can say, it will also accelerate the funding or the cash flow from the private sector to these kind of projects. Alongside if we can introduce more environmental impact based loans, which I have mentioned, to sustainability related loans and bonds, I believe this kind of initiatives from the financial sector, involving the insurance sector also, and then giving them the individual subsidies tax credits, but and that can be a smaller in number, because I believe that Pakistan is depending a lot on the tax cash inflows. But if we will start giving some small percentage, it will start a journey, or initiating them, or pushing them to start thinking. Because right now in Pakistan, the mindset of the business or the private sector need to be changed, that what is good for them in this transition, to, whether related to technology, whether related to renewable energy, or whether it related to investment into sustainable projects. I believe I answered your question.
Yes, thank you so much. अच्छा, Dr. Nusrat, आपसे ये क्वेश्चन होगा कि amongst all the fundings, I guess सबसे कम risky is the UNFCCC का loss and damage fund, which some of the stakeholders say कि हमें मांगना भी अच्छे से नहीं आता as a country, as a nation, or bureaucratic tools. So is that risk becoming another bureaucratic bottleneck rather than an effective financial tool for global south? Agar Dr. Nusrat nahi hai, so please, I would like to have the answer from any one of you panelists, Ms. Fauzia, Ms. Noureen.
Mahmood, मैं आपको मतलब you have said you are giving an example of UNFCCC. I believe मैं आपको एक बात I don't know this forum is like I have to mention this thing here or not, but really we feel
Yeah, you can.
I feel so embarrassed. You know, we have a GCF meeting, and what actually they have said at that time. We all are over there, and we said that we really want to have the climate finance, and we have all these GCF accreditation. But we want that Punjab would be the accreditation agency in GCF. And they said कि why you are being the representatives from many departments, and they all are saying why you are not giving us this climate finance loans, and why you are not approving our projects, what is actually the hindrance, why we are in a constant term, we are in connection with you, we always write you emails. People have so many things to ask back to them. What GCF said, उन्होंने कहा कि आप जो proposals बनाते हैं ना, they are not up to the mark to the GCF level. तो हमारा कोई problem नहीं है पाकिस्तान के साथ. Actually the thing is कि आप उस capacity को lack कर रहे हैं. And believe me, they said this thing, and they just highlighted the proposals we have just submitted to the GCF कि ये आपके projects में flaws हैं, और आपको एक project proposal जो है वो ही सही तरीके से GCF की कंडीशंस के अकॉर्डिंग बनाना नहीं आ रहा. दैट्स वाई जो है ना, वो आप उसको हिट या टारगेट नहीं कर पा रहे हमारी क्लाइमेट फाइनेंस के सारे प्रोजेक्ट्स को. तो यू आर रियली वेरी ट्रू, आप सही कह रहे हैं कि ये एक ड्रॉबैक कह लें या एक लिमिटेशन है, या कुछ है. देयर इज समथिंग लाइक कि वी कांट एक्सेस all this thing. This is one of the example I'm just giving you, and this is the eyewitness example. I'm also the part of that meeting, and I really feel so sorry at that time and feel ashamed what is actually going on, why we can't hit that thing na. So but the thing is ke, yeah, the things are like that, what we can say.
जी मिस फौजिया, मैंने भी आप ही की जानिब डायरेक्ट करना था that how okay, let's have your point.
I really want a private meeting with Miss Noureen, because I really want to understand what are the problems.
Mahmood, please, sorry to interrupt, Fauzia. Mahmood, all the panelists, please kindly make you can say kindly ask them to share their numbers, or you can अपना connections जो है ना वो सबके emails और LinkedIn profiles और इसके अलावा जो contact numbers हैं, kindly वो हम सबके साथ share कर दीजिएगा, because really I feel कि सारे panelists they are much more experts और सबने अपनी बहुत अच्छी opinions दी हैं, really.
जी sure, thank you so much.
Yes, Fauzia, you can continue.
Okay, Noureen, I'm taking it as a compliment. So you really made my day by giving such a beautiful compliment. Well, from my perspective, before submitting a proposal, first is to understand what this funding is about and what are the objectives of the funding. First, we know and we have to document is the objective. And we have to make a checklist kind of thing in which the objective have to be ticked if we are making a proposal. Secondly, who is the stakeholders or the financiers behind? We have to understand them also, that what are their back thinking or initiatives behind. We have to connect objective, those stakeholders, what is the focus areas. Like if I talk about Green Climate Fund, their focus area is always, they don't talk about mitigation a lot. They talk about more of adaptation capacity, renewable energy, climate resilience. So more on adaptation. So when we talk about adaptation or green climate funds, I will just focus on that thing. We have to showcase the first with the problem and how we are solving that problem, keeping the objective and their mind. Because when I make the technical proposal for my, we are like, you are at the government level and I'm at the business level, right? So when we make our technical proposal, I always showcase them that I can speak the words they want to listen and their words in my way. So if we really want to win that thing, I would love, Noureen, if you want to have a meeting separately with me to understand what were the reservations they have made.
Yeah, sure, Fauzia. यही मैंने Mahmood से कहा कि just मतलब shuffle on all the numbers and contact with all of us, and inshallah we will keep in touch.
Yeah, so I believe that for any funder, for any NGO or such like of agencies, we have to understand first and we have to go in detail what their prospect is and their history, that to whom they have given the funds, what were the prospects behind. A lot of research is required before we jump into our own problem and our own proposal, because that will reflect our understanding about them and then we will be speaking in their language. I believe that will, I hope it will help, definitely, inshallah.
बिल्कुल ऐसे ही है, लेकिन फिर भी मैं आपको देखिए डेफिनेटली लाइक हर जो इफ आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट माई सेल्फ ना, तो एवरीथिंग इज नॉट माई रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, अनदर सेक्शन इज वर्किंग ऑन इट, ठीक है ना. तो द थिंग इज के ऑब्वियसली वी कैन गाइड देम, we can facilitate them, but propose to make the proposals, it's actually their entire responsibility na. So they are not doing it, and constantly we are helping them out, we can also facilitating them, but still मैंने आपको इसीलिए बड़ा categorically बताया कि GCF ने very clear, they said in the whole meeting, and that meeting is very high level meeting, I am telling you. और उसमें उन्होंने साफ कह दिया, उन्होंने कहा कि your proposals are not up to the mark. तो इसलिए we are not मतलब it's not like कि हमारी कोई personal grudge है पाकिस्तान के साथ. उन्होंने कहा it's not like that. आपके proposals जो हैं they are not according to the regulations and documentation of GCF. They said this thing very clear.
It means that our research or the preparers' research is lacking somewhere. Because
yeah.
As far as if we are claiming a statement in the proposal and that is not reflected with the evidences attached with that claim will definitely get a 0 score. So yeah, so I hope
absolutely right, the same thing, same.
Yeah.
और अच्छा, thank you so much. अगर अभी भी किसी का question है, so they can ask, although I find that everything very fruitful. और as a learner मेरा तमाम panelists से सवाल होगा, and especially आप दोनों से, Ms. Fauzia and Ms. Noureen, के is there a typical team or a person in Pakistan आप ज़रिए के मुताबिक who knows how to design or how to develop such proposals that could win the fundings? Is there any, or we need some international kind of intellectual transfer instead of technology transfer?
Before Noureen will jump up, I want to explain you one thing. It's not the one technical knowledge which is required for such big proposals. As you have, when you were gathering the panelists, and Mahmood, when I was asking you who are the other panelists, you have given me that Fauzia, one is having the background of policy, one having the background of social, one is the technical, one is the energy side, and so on. This climate or sustainability related projects, even at the government level or the private sector level, it's not a one functions work. It's a teamwork which require diversified knowledge and diversified experience. So if you will say that only suppose a financial consultant will come and do this all work, yes, that consultant can give you the numbers to your proposal, but they cannot give you the strategy or the policy or the problem creation, because unless your storyline is not effective and giving the impact into financial numbers and the narrative that how it is adding the value to the society or to how it is addressing the problem which you are showcasing them, it's not possible. So I will suggest that when it comes to the government level proposal, first we have to gather all the stakeholders which is required for that proposal. It's the policy, it's the technical, if it's related to renewable energy, we need the technical expertise having the energy sector, and then the financial is the prime thing which is required, because you have given all the problem and narrative, but you are not able to translate into the actual financial numbers, because for every project to win, you need to calculate the ROI. ROI means return on that investment. So what's the return? It's in the financial numbers or it's the non-financial data. You have to give that. Now you can understand it's not one education background or the technical expertise. It's a combination of knowledge which is required. I believe Noureen can give a better prospect about that. Thank you.
Yes, Fauzia, you are absolutely right. The same thing I also endorse. Definitely, when you are compiling any project, it's a teamwork actually. We are also we are just nowadays we are finalizing one of the project, or usme the main component is environmental and social safeguard, but the donor, they just ask this thing, and the donor says that we have to emphasize the gender sector as well, na? And now you come to the point back which you are telling now we have to design the project. First of all, we have to focus on environmental and social safeguard, and then we have to focus a lot on the gender. No doubt, gender, we say gender is just a small thing. Why we have to hire anyone for this? But the thing is, we have certain points against those gender mainstreaming plans. We have to formulate in those proposal. So it's really very important that we should hire someone, or we should talk to someone having you can say having the gender perspective, or having the experience how how donors, they just formulate those gender action plans and gender mainstreaming plans. Those are really very important.
And I'm Noureen, just interrupting you,
Yes.
accept my apologies for that. And I believe when you are working on that project, the owner of the project, suppose you are the owner of the project,
Yes.
first you have to understand that why that donor has asked you for that thing. That why will give you a real roadmap that how you have to address and how much emphasis. What is the background that why they have specifically asked you to have the gender factor into that. So going back into that research will give you a good prospect that how you have to respond on.
बिल्कुल definitely ऐसे ही है. तो इसलिए it's really very important. No doubt we research on it a lot. I write down a lot of things. But when we have the gender expert with us, really the thing he shared with us, those are not in my mind, that how I have to address all those points in my proposal. And really for me, it's my actually my one of the habit. I always want to learn from others as well, na? I love to learn. So I really learn a lot from him. And I really I also like, I just sit with him and I asked that you have to tell me how to make all those plans, and so that in the coming projects I will be also able, I know how to address, how to pinpoint, how to write down all those things which are related to gender. It's really very important. Similarly, like if you have talked about the technical expertise, which is really very, but I'm from the energy sector, so I can contribute more only related to energy. But if any more sector is available, like agriculture or transport, I don't have such expertise. Now I can only contribute the level of knowledge from, you can say, which if I am working with working with all those stakeholders. But the dig down knowledge, or the dig down, you can say, the information, all those people who are working already in those sectors, they can contribute more. They can tell us more about what is actually the problems behind, and how we have to address all those problems in our proposal. So definitely it's really very important. Okay, we have to pinpoint what is actually donor is asking. अगर donor की requirement है कि we have like environmental and social safeguard or a technical expertise, so these two people are very important. You should hire these two people in your preliminary level, and these two people can sit together and they can formulate a very good proposal.
I believe this is not
Yeah.
this is not the time to work in silos. Like
Yeah.
that's the time when we can work, we can do the work with our own technical expertise. It's the time that you have to work and having the maximum stakeholder engagement. And definitely when I talk about the stakeholder engagement, definitely Noureen's points come there, that every stakeholder who is directly or indirectly connected to the project, that will become the stakeholder. Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is
So,
the time.
so it becomes a skill together team in that scenario. Right. So thank you so much. And as we wrap up today's discussion, एक चीज बहुत वाज़ेह तौर पे हमारे सामने, that while the loss of USAID funding is a setback, it is not the end of our fight for climate justice. And if anything, is a wake-up call, a push for Global South to rethink its approach to climate finance, self-reliance, and policy of innovation. We have explored the gaps and the urgent challenges, but more importantly, we have also uncovered the potential solutions, चाहे वो green bonds or regional climate banks or public-private partnerships. So to ensure that today's insights translate into tangible outcomes, which is, of course, the purpose, to not become one of those empty capacity building sessions. So to ensure that, we are pleased to announce that a working paper summarizing key policy recommendations from this webinar will be compiled and shared with all the policymakers, researchers, and climate advocates, and of course, publicly on the LinkedIn. We encourage all of you to contribute your perspectives and keep this conversation alive beyond today. And of course, the Global South does not need charity. It needs justice and financial autonomy and a seat at the decision-making table, most importantly. And while challenges remain, if we stand together and innovate and push for structural reforms, we can forge a sustainable, independent future. So thank you so much. With that, I sincerely thank our esteemed panelists, our engaged audience, and our organizers for making this discussion possible. Let this not be the end, but actually the beginning of a stronger solution-driven movement for climate resilience and data-driven movement, I would say. So thank you, and let's keep building. We'll all will stay in touch at least for the coming week until the working paper is designed, and of course later on. I'll be sharing all the contacts with all of the panelists, and all the attendees can also be the part of designing the working paper. Thank you so much, all of you. It was a pleasure meeting all of you. So with that note, I bid you farewell. Thanks again.
Thank you
Allah
very much.
Hafiz.
Thank
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much.
Thanks.